One of the requirements that a seller needs to provide whenever there's a sale of a property is an electrical certificate of compliance. So what is a COC and what do we as buyers need to know about it? Hi, I'm Sibilelo Makwanyane, otherwise known as Sibilelo the estate agent. And if you're keen on finding out information as a first-time home buyer or a first-time home owner, you've come to the right place. If you're new, I'd like to encourage you to subscribe and click the notification bell so you can be updated whenever there's new video loaded, and a like would be really appreciated if you find the content useful. Whenever there's a sale of a property, a certificate of compliance must always be supplied. So it's basically confirmation that the wiring has been done according to the health and safety standards and that all the electrical connections are correct. Basically, that means all the electrical connections are up to scratch. So if you take your laptop and plug it into the wall, it must charge. If you turn on a light, it must come on. Now, the bulbs don't have to be there, right? The seller can literally take all the bulbs in the house if he wants to, but the connection to the bulb must be there. So if you put the light in the bulb, the light must work. I bought a property a few years back and the light in the passage wasn't working. And I just assumed that, the light bulb was out and I didn't, entertain it. Then after a couple of months, I got a bulb, put the bulb in, dololo. And now I'm like, okay, I'm not quite sure what's going on. But in all honesty, I had bigger problems in my life than a bit of darkness in the passage, right? But come summer, every time it rains, I get water coming through this electrical connection. And at this point, it's now my property. The seller is long gone. It's my house. I'm now responsible for it. And it was before I was involved in real estate as a property practitioner. So I did not know what I know now. So I would encourage anybody who's bought a property, once you move in, go through, check all the plugs, make sure that everything works, all the electrical sockets, all the light bulbs. If it doesn't have a bulb, get a bulb, but make sure that it works. If anything is wrong, nip it in the bud right there and then. When you buy the property, the seller is not going to walk up to you and say, here's your COC, welcome to your new home. He supplies the certificate to the attorneys. And by the time the property is registered, the certificate has long been supplied to the attorneys. In fact, you cannot transfer a property without there being a COC. Now, more often than not, it's paid for by the seller, but there are times when the buyer will use it as a form of negotiation. So they might say, okay, it's fine, I'll put in offer X on the property, but don't worry, I'll take care of the COC. So more often it's the seller who pays for it. Sometimes the buyer will offer to do it, but either way, there must always be a COC that is supplied in order for a property to be registered. It's supplied by a registered qualified electrician. And we've mentioned that it's basically certification that everything is up to standard, right? So by mere means of a house being registered should mean that the COC was complied and therefore the house is compliant. But unfortunately, people like to take chances. I had a situation where a lady sold a property and the light in the lapa was not working. And, the gentleman, the buyer realized this after a couple of days, and we tried to sort of get her to sort it out. We couldn't reach an agreement. So he took her to court. He took her to small claims court. And the judge was like, nah, sisters, fix the light. Fix the light. That was very naughty of the electrician because he shouldn't supply a COC if anything is not up to scratch. But the truth is the attorneys don't have time to sit and go through every COC and read it top to tail, right? So it's up to you as the buyer to take responsibility for your home. You can walk in once you have moved in, check all of the lights, check all of the electrical sockets and make sure that everything is working, because if it isn't, it then becomes your problem once it's now your house. A COC is valid for 2 years unless you make adjustments to the electrical connection. So maybe you want to get automated gates or something like that, then you'll need a new COC. So we've established that it is relating to the connections, but it doesn't actually cover the appliances. So in other words, having a COC does not mean that the automated gate works. It just says the connection is there. So the oven might not work, the aircon might not work, but the connection to those appliances are working, even though the appliances themselves might not work. So I would recommend you check that as well. If you'd like me to get into the other certificate of compliances that are necessary whenever we register a property, let me know in the comments below and I'll record a video. In the meantime, you can find out why home loans are more expensive than car loans, and you can also find out when is the best day of the month to pay your bond.